Trigger warning, this episode contains mentions of child abuse, drug abuse, and death. Hello everyone. Welcome back to Musician vs. Musician, a podcast / gig where every week, sometimes we do a podcast. It's not every week.
Sometimes you remember the intro.
No, I remembered it all. I was doing it deliberately with a sort of radio voice to sort of create a calming...
I did appreciate the radio voice, actually.
A calming atmosphere. It's a bit ASMR. That's it, right? ASMR? Yeah. So, we've taken a long break because I was really tired and busy.
And it happens. We ain't getting paid for this.
Yeah, you want to complain? We've had a bit of a rethink and a reformat, which you'll notice in the coming weeks. Mostly because me specifically, but Leia a little bit as well, get bored of talking about these huge bands who everybody already knows. Everybody knows about them, and it might get us the clicks, for instance... Our Slipknot Unsainted versus All Out Live.
That was huge, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's still going. It gets 14 listens every week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're a small podcast, every person counts.
Well, it's our first podcast to go through 100 listens.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's really big to me.
I think that's a big deal.
But I also think it's sort of this damning indictment of the state of metal and alternative music in general.
Oh, yeah.
Slipknot,
You just get
a band
clickbait
of
Slipknot stuff, yeah.
40 to 50-year-olds, and that's not a diss on their age, they're incredible, but they've been going for a long time. Metal needs someone to replace them because they're getting older.
I think as I've phrased it online, I don't want to be at, like, download 2063 with 104-year-old Metallica still playing the headline slot, like...
I mean, controversial corner, I'm not a huge Metallica fan. I've probably said that before.
We've mentioned this a number of times. No one is surprised by you anymore.
Well, we got new listeners apparently, so maybe they are surprised.
Maybe, yeah.
They don't know how it is.
Maybe they're going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to click off that now.
You know what recently went past 60 listens as well, which, again, is pretty big for us, is the 30 Seconds to Mars one. Where,
really?
Yeah, where we just go between dissing 30 Seconds to Mars and complimenting how handsome Jared Leto is.
Honestly, nothing has ever really convinced me quite so much that you would definitely fuck Jared Leto given half a chance.
I wouldn't because of his personality.
He does have quite an off-putting personality, but that doesn't stop.
But a beautiful face.
This has been quite a deep dive into random bullshit. Should we actually start talking about what we're supposed to talk about?
Well, we could, I guess. One day this podcast will just be abolished, and what we'll do in its place is just a podcast where we just talk. And no one will listen, but I'll have a great time. Maybe we just won't do a podcast, we'll just talk.
Maybe, yeah, we'll just, like, hang out like normal people do.
Monsters.
Ew, yeah.
Monsters who don't have a podcast. So, last week, or the week before, when was it? Last week?
What is the question?
Korn released an album.
They did release an album. I think it was last week.
It was last week.
I think it was a week ago today, but I'm not going to commit to that fully.
As of recording this. When you're listening to it is when I've done editing it, which is whenever I want. Yeah. Get off my back, Mum. No, but seriously, Korn released an album and it's good.
I really like it.
Yeah, me too. One of us is more passionate than the other, but that's probably just because I'm tired. I actually did listen to this the day it came out and was shocked at how much I liked it. Much like Slipknot's We Are Not Your Kind album, this one felt quite experimental, quite different, a bit moody.
Oh, this is very emotional.
Yeah.
Very, very emotional.
More emotionally charged than a lot of Korn stuff that I've heard. Not being a Korn aficionado, but a Korn liker. Would you call yourself a Korn aficionado?
At this point, probably.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you've listened to them enough for this podcast, so...
Well, true. We did do a whole podcast on Korn, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
We did.
It was a good episode.
That was a good episode.
Or was it terrible? You tell us. But anyway, we've got this Korn album. The End Begins. That's not the name of the album. It's called The Nothing. I'm just reading off.
The title of the first song.
The album's called The Nothing.
Interestingly, do you know where that comes from?
The Nothing?
Yeah, what the title has come from.
No, I don't know where the title The Nothing comes from.
Have you seen The Never-Ending Story?
Yes.
So in The Never-Ending Story, the thing that's coming to destroy the little town or whatever is the Nothing. And Jonathan Davis basically said following the death of his wife, he just felt like, because the Nothing isn't an evil entity, it's just something that's following you, and it is, but like being followed by something like in the Never-Ending Story. So there we go.
Interesting. Do you want another Never-Ending Story fact?
I do.
In the third Never-Ending Story, Jack Black plays the villain.
Really?
And he is a representation of a The Nothing-esque villain called the Nasty. Yeah. Guess which one of the movies is better?
I don't think I've seen any of them.
Well, Never-Ending Story 1 is good. Never-Ending Story 3 has Jack Black as a villain. And he's called the Nasty.
It could be funny. I mean,
it is funny.
Yeah.
It is very funny. And that's not to diss on Jack Black, who...
I think Jack Black's very funny.
He's fine as a man, I'm sure. I haven't met him. One day we will meet, I guess.
That would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just act like him and he'll hate me.
You'll both fucking hate each other,
You know what? He's really funny in Community. He kind of makes fun of himself quite a lot in Community. He's really good. Have you seen Community?
I don't think so.
Go watch Community. It's great.
I think I've been told by a few people to watch it, so I probably should.
It's good for the first season, but then it gets real weird in the second season, and it's better. And then it gets even weirder in the third season. So, but yeah, it's great. Anyway, back to Korn. Leia, tell me something about this album.
I really like it. Does that count?
That does count.
We've already, I don't think we discussed on mic the album art that we both love.
We didn't. The album art is on screen now. Look, I edited for a change.
Yeah, I think it's just nice to see something that's so simple.
Yes.
But just very, very powerful, I thought.
It's beautiful. I mean, this kind of, string mannequin type thing, wiring.
I thought got the impression it was made of, like, mic cords and things like that.
Yeah.
That was what struck me, but I don't think it's meant to be.
No, I definitely, now that you've said it, like amp leads and stuff.
Yeah, music cables.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely thinking about putting that on my body at some point.
Do you mean in tattoo form, not just
I'm not going to, like, sellotape a print out of it, like...
rubbing it on her body.
I mean, I would, but there we go. Fun. Should we kick off?
Yeah, go for it.
So you have listened to the whole album as well this time, haven't we? Because a few times we've done this.
Although I've listened to the first half more than the second half.
I think the first half is stronger than the second half.
That's why I've listened to it more.
Yeah, there we go. So the first track, "The End Begins." Did you have any thoughts? Do you remember?
Why don't
we need to skim it?
Well, we can play it and then the audience can tell us. Or did you want to? Is this one of the ones you didn't want to focus on as much?
No, we'll have a little listen to this.
All right, for the opening track, "The End begins now." So it's a funereal tone with the bagpipes right there.
You know, I'm pretty sure Jonathan Davis does play the bagpipes live.
Yeah,
I saw him do the. God, I can't remember the name now. The song that goes through all the nursery rhymes and stuff.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he plays the bagpipes live on that one as well.
I always remember it for the bone one.
So do I. It's very catchy.
But yeah, it's a real effective mood setter. You know, a lot of bands do this. I really like this technique of having a shorter track at the start just to open up the album, set a tone. Slipknot do it with a lot of their soundscaping work, but this is deeply effective. It moves me, and then there's some crying at the end of the song just to really get you in the vibe.
Yeah, just so you know what's going on here. But interestingly about that, so we discussed on our previous Korn podcast the song "Daddy," which was on their first album, and to be honest, that song is just traumatic. Like, it's about trauma, so it kind of makes sense, but it's the whole point of the song is not even particularly to be enjoyable, it's to be deeply upsetting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the crying at the end is to pay a bit of a homage to that song, which is where they've done that before, they've just had him in hysterics in the booth.
I've been reading a lot around this album as well, in preparation, obviously, and yeah, a lot of people seem to agree that there's references to Daddy all throughout this album, and it's and the trauma that our lead singer has created. Does he write the songs on his own?
I think he writes similarly to you, how you like to, in that he writes the lyrics and likes to organise how the others write the structure around his lyrics, but he doesn't control anything musically, you know?
Sure.
But he'll be like, I want it to feel like this.
Yeah, emotionally.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to do it, to be honest. You know
That
what?
makes sense.
A side note, this isn't me throwing shade, it's just me. I heard a rumour about our good friends at Bring the Horizon, and apparently the reason Ammo is so different and polarising is that Ollie Sykes took a lot of creative control away from the usual producer Jordan Fish, who produced Sempiternal, and That's the Spirit. He's the keyboardist who does all the singing for Ollie now, bless him. Apparently he just took like all control off him, sent it to all these pop producers, was like, this is the sound we're doing now, and that's why a lot of people hate Ollie Sykes, apparently.
Well, he's a bit renowned for being a bit of a twat.
I mean, again, when so much is rumour, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'd rather not, because he's one of those people that has quite a large list of allegations, but like...
Wait, hold on, talk to me about this off mic.
So we're going to move on to the next track now, which is Cold. This is without doubt my favourite track of the album. I love this one.
Yeah, let's play a little bit of it. Cold begins now. I'm not going to do that for every track, I promise.
What did you think of that track then?
Cold's one of my favourites on this, actually. It's very close to a lot of songs that I've tried to write but just haven't been able to access that part of myself completely. Yeah. So, a lot of respect. It's difficult to write about depression and the feelings specifically. And, of course, a recurring imagery for depression is how cold you are.
Yeah.
Which is all, I think, what this song is about. It's about the emotions that are completely overwhelming you, knocking you down.
Yeah. To be honest, I looked at this one a little bit more of an instrumental way, because I don't really like to delve into lyrics too much because I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's fair
so
enough. Same reason I don't go into instruments.
But I think it, like, musically, it really does showcase everyone. Like, there isn't an instrument that's slacking or is not putting in as much effort as anyone else. They're all really well written. As I mentioned to you while we were listening to it, you hear Jonathan Davis growling, which you don't really see.
Yeah.
It's a pretty new thing. And it has, like, the classic Korn structure, which is, like, you have a verse or chorus sound that is very heavy and loud, with a really severe contrast in something to a lot softer and melodic for the other parts. And it's fun. I like it. I think it's very catchy, and I'm looking forward to seeing this one live. I think it'll be a good one to watch.
Yeah, I'll play live. Really well.
I think it'll be a good one. I like that track.
A good intro. This to me feels like it is a big single for the track.
Yeah, I see. This wasn't the first single, but I think it should have been.
Yeah, it's really good. And but then, do you really want the second song on your album to be the first single? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, the next one is the first single. So.
Yes, You'll Never Find Me.
Yeah.
Is a good track and a really good video. I like it a lot.
The video was nice.
Yeah, this track is a favourite of mine amongst this. Like I said, I like a lot on the first half of the album, a lot more than the second half.
I think the first half is definitely catchier. That's a note I've made throughout, is that it's very catchy choruses.
Definitely. I wonder if they were going for a sort of breaking down feeling as the songs evolve through the album.
Yeah.
To reflect that state of mind where things are just getting more difficult.
So which is reflected in this song specifically, because the first, like, 3/4 are fairly mellow compared to the rest of the album, and then it just kicks off about halfway through with like heavy, and it's heavy the rest of the way.
It's really intense. And again, this is one of the songs that reminded me of Slipknot's most recent album. It feels strange.
It does.
But that's kind of Korn's thing, though. Korn do strange.
They do strange. They admitted that.
I really should be saying that Slipknot's most recent album reminded me of a Korn album.
Yeah, because this is a pretty classic Korn album.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of Korn albums and how they evolve, and this is typical, just higher end of good.
Yeah.
But do you want to dive into this one specifically, or should we move on to the next track?
Well, I think we should move on to the next, because as much as I like that one, I think it was, as I phrased it, the radio-friendly track.
Yeah, definitely agree.
I didn't really find anything that was particularly unique or particularly drawing. It's a really good track, nothing particularly drew me to it, whereas the next one, The Darkness is Revealing, I believe it should be the next
track. Know what, let's put this on straight away. Let's put on The Darkness is Revealing itself right now.
I think that's a really, really strong track for the album.
Yeah, like I was saying, this song came on when I walked into the gym, and it made me immediately want to punch people, which is a good feeling at the gym.
Yeah, I can imagine that's practical
to hit them with.
But yeah, I found that like most of what I found interesting about the song comes from the lyrics and things. So after saying that I'm not going to discuss them particularly, this one I am. Apparently it's meant to feel intimate, which I found quite a lot, but the way it's written is supposed to be kind of like you're reading someone's diary, which is why a lot of the verses are spoken and things like that. And it's just grief on the whole, but the whole chorus section, I just feel like it captures it all pretty well. You could, if you wanted to summarize the entire album with a set of lines, it would be the chorus verse. Do you have any particular feelings?
I just think this one kicks ass.
It does.
It's just a kind of a brutal track. We were saying that it reminds me so much of Nine Inch Nails without me really being able to understand why.
It's industrially, that's what it is.
Yeah, you know what? It's that word that I hate.
That you hate.
Because I can never use it properly, but I think I get it a little bit more every time.
You are getting better, to your credit.
It does feel industrial.
Because now what we've replaced with, I don't even know what this feels like, we've replaced with, it reminds me of Nine Inch Nails. So, you know.
Hey, Nine Inch Nails are really good.
They are really good.
But yeah, I like this track a lot. It's is it the best song on the album?
I could see why you would argue that, but I
still probably lean towards Cold.
Yeah, it's an awkward line of my favourite versus what I think is the best.
Yeah.
Because they are not necessarily the same thing.
Whatever it is, it's idiosyncratic, much like the next song, Idiosyncrasy. A weird song.
It is a
weird song. It's also really good. It's both those things. Things can be two things, kids. You've learned a lesson.
We learned so much on this podcast, and most of it is useless.
Shall we listen to Idiosyncrasy, Leia, or shall we leave off?
Should we have a little bit? We might. Well, this far. We might as well have a little bit.
Here's a bit of Idiosyncrasy.
Oh, I'd love to hear that one live, to be honest. Yeah. It's so heavy.
It's PHAT.
Yeah, it definitely is. Thick guitars, thick bass riffs in there. Particularly the intro is like just, heavy.
This is something if someone says Korn, this is a song I'd think of immediately.
Yeah.
Think of, it's so low.
Yeah, and this one also has that kind of industrial ambience going on in the background in the Nine Inch Nails kind of way.
Yeah.
We get some more growling from Jonathan Davis. He's showing off now.
Oh, yeah,
he's getting good at that.
Fucking b-boy now.
Also, there's a good standout line which I should have said while we were listening to it that I should have made you have a listen to. That when you get towards the end, it's another sort of like, could you summarize the album in a line kind of one? And he says, "God is making fun of me. He's there laughing. Can't you see?" I really enjoy that. That comes up a lot, that kind of theme. And it's another one of those really emotional lines, which feels like, I don't know, I have no idea how people can cram so much emotion into what they're doing as a job. Like, that's just terrifying to me.
Let's get philosophical for a second and what he's essentially saying there is, everything doesn't happen for a reason. Shut up. Things are just random and horrible.
Yeah, people are mean, and if there is a God, he's a turd, basically.
So... There is, here's a debate for you kids that listen to this podcast.
Homework!
Does everything happen for a reason? The answer is no.
That's a really quick debate. Yeah. No, it doesn't.
It's not so much of a debate. Feel free to comment, but no, it doesn't.
Anyone that says it has never been invested in something that didn't happen.
Yeah. Or had a friend who's died or whatever,
Yeah.
So, that's Idiosyncrasy.
Yeah, we're jumping into the latter half of the album now, which is a little bit less impactful, I thought. The next one, The Seduction of Indulgence, is pretty much an interlude song.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I don't remember it. It's one that, it's an interlude, it moves past me.
I can see why it would particularly not stick with you, because the feeling I got from it was very tribal, so it's repetitive and rhythmic.
Yeah.
And I like it, and it seems to pay some sort of homage to the Issues album,
Mm-hmm.
which was a lot more tribally. But I think the whole point is just to be unsettling. Like, it's not pleasant, it's short and unpleasant. So, there we go. It's the whole tone of this album, really, isn't it? It's not supposed to be nice.
No, Korn's never supposed to be nice.
It's not, but this album particularly not supposed to be nice. No. There we go.
But finally, Free.
Oh, a lot of dynamic bits, like sections of this, big differences and things.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I get that.
The drummer's showing off so hard in this song.
Give me... should I find an example clip and put it in?
No, because what's going to happen is you're going to phone me up while you're editing and get me to send you one, because you'll be like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I was thinking, say we find it now and then I'll...
to be honest, it's pretty consistent. Like, just go and listen to it. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, go listen to it, you lazy people.
Yeah, the drummer's really, really good, and he's a self-appointed drum god, and I believe this song earns him the title. So, there we go.
Is he as good as Mario Duplantier from Gojira?
Probably. That's a pretty interesting comparison, though, because they're a lot more similar than you'd think in their styles.
Well, I wouldn't comment either way.
I know, but that's
this.
what I'm saying, that you managed to find someone that's got quite a similar playing style without actually knowing at all what you're talking about.
Describe the playing styles to me, Leia, so we can teach.
Right. Influences, then. Not just metal influences, but also feels like maybe they had a jazz band in their past, or that kind of... It's like... Not just I've got legs like a rugby player because I can blast beat at 300 BPM, which a lot of metal drummers, I'm just saying, you do tend to. But also that really, really technical elements with the hands and upper body and things, which tend to go unnoticed in metal, doing them anyway. And it's what really contributes to the idiosyncratic themes you're seeing going through. So, yeah, good drummer tech. He's really good at it. And his drum kit apparently is so complicated to put together that if they don't have to go over the ocean, they do not get, they don't do air travel. They stick it in a van fully put together because he doesn't trust anyone else to put it together. And they ship the whole drum kit on a platform as it is. So there we go.
I guess, whatever. What do you think?
And comments on that.
I don't know enough to say if it's worth it. If
I
was that wealthy, as long as it was economically viable, I'd still probably do it.
Like, it's pretty enormous, I'd imagine, when it's put down. So, at this point, fuck it.
So that brings us to another one of the singles that were released. Bless you. Can You Hear Me?
Yeah. This is a good one. This is a very, ghostly track, haunting track.
Well, let's listen to this one, because I remember liking this one a lot. So
it is good.
Let's throw it out there. Can you hear me as I play? Can you hear me? No, it's terrible. I'm going to get rid of
terrible.
that.
Please leave it in.
I totally forgot that this song is my favourite on the whole album.
I thought you'd like this one.
This is a really, really musically powerful one. I don't know that I have a lot to say. It's so good. I'm overwhelmed by this rush of feelings, reminiscing about how good this is. You know what? Because I listened to this album as an album.
Yeah.
I try not to, before we've actually recorded the podcast, pick out individual songs and just listen to them, because it means I ignore the rest of it. And we're trying to talk about the whole album, not just individual songs.
But also, this is a really good song.
Yeah, this is a really good song. This is one that's going to be put on my playlists when I put something together. Maybe my driving playlist.
This song, it's a good, I assume you haven't really looked into the lyrics and things for this. This one, obviously, is probably one of the most intricately written lyrically. But it's just, I really enjoyed just the style that it was done in. So, so the reason you got this haunting feel is because it's talking about how unavoidable grief is. But it personifies grief as a ghostly child that's just with you and you can't look after and you can't do anything. It's just there all the time with you. It's just very well written the whole way through. It's nice to see it, it's not quite as literal as I'm sad, which a lot of these songs can be sometimes. But there we go. I just thought it was a really nice way of looking at it. Almost not upsetting, just pleasant. It just is. And I completely see why this one was one of the singles.
Yeah.
Very good track.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that it's emotional without being like upsetting or depressing.
If this doesn't get people onto Korn, I don't know what would.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know what to tell you at this point, you know?
This is just
You just
an
don't like
incredible
it.
song.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay if you don't like it, but...
It is a good song and I don't care. Basically.
I mean, let's move on to a more controversial track, or not controversial, polarizing. Ringmaster.
I like this one.
You like it?
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I don't love it at all. I don't really know why. It just doesn't inspire me.
Yeah, I can see that. To be fair, the actual structure of the song and things I wasn't as interested as I have been. What Jonathan Davis is doing with his vocals is a little bit unlike how he normally does. With his, as they've put it, like, the Ringmaster is kind of like his new vocal character then.
Yeah.
Because it does sound a bit like a character. Also, there's some quite fun drum work going on in the background. I'll probably learn that when I can be bothered. So it's just, again, I can see why you'd not... This is a really give or take song, to be honest. But I like his little Ringmaster character. And I feel like we might see some of that again at some point.
Yeah, you know, it's fine. It's just not what I prefer this band to do. I'm glad it exists.
Their
I like
heavier stuff is
variation.
better.
Yeah, it's just different. I don't really have a lot to say that's interesting. So let's talk about Gravity of Discomfort.
Ooh, how did you feel about this one?
You know what? Let's play it. Let's let the audience decide how my response is going to be taken. Here we go with Gravity of Discomfort.
I walk this road alone, imprisoned by design. This broken bale of shame is right here by my side.
Leia, what do you think?
I think it's a really groovy song. It's driven and it feels, I don't know, I guess slightly more positive and determined than the rest have. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not a happy song, but it's not as sort of melancholy as the rest of them have been.
Yeah, definitely. I love it.
Yeah?
It reminds me of a fucking musical number.
Does it?
The way John Rhys Davies is singing, the way it opens up. It genuinely, if you changed a little bit, put it orchestral style, I think you could put it into a fucking musical, and I love musicals. So, yeah.
I didn't think about it, but that's quite an interesting look at it, actually.
I dig it a lot. I like it a lot. I know I intentionally made it sound like I didn't like it, but no, this is a good song to me. I think it's great. I think it's really fun and involving. It sounds so different to the rest of the album.
It does sound different. It's a standout track, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's what I'm about. I love something that stands out, you know?
Tune, basically.
Mm-hmm. Tune. That's how we'll summarise.
Yeah.
It's is it a difficult song to play, would you say?
Well, not for Korn. Like,
okay.
The drums are all well written,
so,
to be honest.
Maybe the next song is harder. See, she didn't know where I was going with it, but
I did wonder, but you know.
It was just a random thing to her, but to me, I was planning it. The only thing I wrote for this episode were the segues. That's not true, though.
that would be really funny role for you to play in the
podcast. Do it off the cuff. So, Harder is the next song, or H @RD3R. I don't know why it's...
I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I kind of enjoy that they've written it like that, or if I really fucking hate it.
I both those things.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Because it's like, that looks funny, and then every time I have to type it somewhere, I'm like, fuck's sake, I can't actually just type Harder, because it won't work. Like,
for me, it's like, oh, okay, we're the band Dead Mouse, or Dead Mouse 5, as my friends call it.
Yeah, fine. That's quite funny.
Like, whatever. Or Thanks for the Mummers, which is
Fall Out Boy. Fall Out Boy
yeah.
not liking any vowels.
Good God, they're a weird band that I kind of hate.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. But there we go. So it's going to take a violently different
turn. Ooh, controversial. We don't like Fall Out Boy that much.
I didn't know we collectively.
I do like them. Thanks for the Memories, actually. I think that's a good song.
Fair enough. But yeah, this track I thought was just pretty classic Korn song. It didn't really stand out to me. There were a couple of like military feeling sections, but nothing particularly significant.
I don't care about this one.
Yeah.
Skip to the next one.
Fair enough. This Loss.
I like this one.
This one I thought had quite a jazzy midsection, and that's cool because Korn don't really do that.
Yeah. You know what? Let's put that midsection on.
Yeah.
Right now. Here's This Loss's midsection. That wasn't good.
It's plain to see, been holding on too long to this tragedy, and it's time to be free.
This song's so good.
It is fairy tale jazz section. That's what I like.
Yeah, or a rock opera if you're a sane person.
No, I don't like that.
It's really good. Again, it sounds like a freaking musical.
It does sound like it could be a musical if it wanted it to. I think this is a highlight of the album, to be honest.
And you know what? Here's what I'm thinking. Here's why it probably sounds like a musical to me. Musical is soliloquy, sung to an audience, right? It's one character singing their thoughts directly to an audience, and it's a little bit more bare than a lot of music is. It's very revealing and open, and I think that's what John Rhys Davies has done with this album. He's got hella loose with it. He's just like, here's my feelings, they're on a plate, eat them or don't, you know, but do eat them.
What did you call him?
John Rhys Davies? What did I say?
That's not his name.
Oh shit, I've been saying that the whole podcast. Huh?
His name is Jonathan Davis, not John Rhys
Oh
Davis.
man, I'm thinking of famous actor John Rhys Davies. I'm sorry, Jonathan Davies. I'll go. Oh god, I'm gonna have to dub over myself, or I just won't care.
Just don't care.
Nah.
Just leave this bit in, and then people will be like, haha.
I just won't care.
There we go.
So, it's a good song. I like it a lot.
Yeah, this one is also one of the ones that's pretty consistently throughout all the instruments well written and would be fun to learn. This one's also on my hit list. So this album is fast creating a work list for me, to be honest. But there we go.
Does that bring us to the last song on the album?
It does bring us to our last song,
Which is
of the
called
album.
Surrender to Failure. We'll definitely play a little bit of this coming up right now.
Everywhere I turn, I can't escape you.
That was the beautiful Surrender to Failure.
Very much so. It's again such an emotional track. Like it's really, again, how are so many songs in this album highlights? Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we were saying like the first half is better than the second half, but only maybe by like one song.
Yeah, I think there's maybe 3 tracks that I could give or take, and it's not that I don't like them. It's that I'm like, you know.
Yeah, they're just not as good as the others, which are so good.
Yeah, they are. To be honest with you, I really struggled to write about this one, so I might have borrowed a little segment from
That's
Metal
fine.
Hammer.
That's fine.
Because
Just
they wrote
quote.
it. They wrote it much better than I did. So it's one of the slowest songs on the record and possibly the most difficult listen. Over a drum beat that feels simultaneously stately and anxiety-inducing, Jonathan begins to work towards a kind of conclusion to the record as he talks about being lost, how God already knew what would happen, and that his theory that because he's done good things in the world, he's been beset by misfortune. Which is, to be honest, about right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels right. Jonathan Davis has commented on this song specifically as well, saying it's just the whole album is from the direct influences, but then also from being fucked over in life, and like it ends. So the way we listened to it was a bit difficult, but at the end, before we get into his big end sigh, he's just over and over saying "I failed," which is like not how you generally imagine ending an album, but also at this level in their career and at this point of influences and things, I can completely see how they got there. Like, it's hard. It's a hard listen, but I feel like you've gained something by the end of the album if you manage it.
How old are Korn now? How old are the members?
I would put Jonathan Davis at mid-40s, but that's a blind guess, to be honest.
I'm going to give it a googs.
Give it a googs.
No, that's a rugby player.
His I is before his V.
I was going to put Korn.
No, it's from, yeah, there we go.
So, Jonathan
71.
Davis
No,
is 48.
That was a pretty good guess.
You compare that to Corey Taylor, who I'm going to guess is 45. I'm going to guess 45. He is 45. Oh, nailed it. So, Peep's getting old. Music changes. They get real emotional and good and better, in my opinion.
Oh, to be fair though, it's so like you can really see what they went through making this album. Like, it does remind me of the first album where they quite notably said that some of the songs they just haven't played live ever because they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of times that more than one of them were in pieces in the studio because of the way they've been doing things, you can really see how they've come sort of full circle in a nice way, because I think it's kind of nice because I feel like they're sort of coming to the end of their writing career fairly soon. They might have a couple more albums out, but realistically, sort of Slipknot style, they're probably just heading towards being like, we're more or less.
This is actually what I was going to ask you. If they ended it on this album, how would you feel?
I would not be upset by that. I want to see this, like, I think for me to be happy, I'd need to see most of this album played live.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they just stopped altogether, like, we don't want to tour anymore, I'd be like,
yeah,
please. But if they didn't write anything more original, I'd be like, to be fair, you've covered your music catalogue now.
Yeah,
I'm happy for you.
It feels like a big
kind
one
of to end on,
ending, yeah. Whereas with We Are Not Your Kind from Slipknot, who I'm referencing recently because obviously it came out recently, I feel like they got one more in them, but I don't think they got two more in them.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, I feel like Korn might do another couple,
yeah.
But also I don't know how they'd ever manage to top this album.
Yeah, it's just too good.
Man. It is. It's a very, very good album.
And that's going to be our summary of the album. It's too good.
It is too good to top. That's your real issue, Korn, is you've generated a new problem by writing such a good album.
So, there you go. That's our summary. I don't believe in stars, but here's the quote for you. Too good to top.
Mm.
And that brings us to a new section of this podcast, which we're thinking about, expanding, shrinking, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We
play everything by ear.
We're going to call it the future of metal, where Leia has found some bands who have... How many subs did you say, or follows on Facebook?
The sort of threshold we're talking is like maybe 5 to 10k people.
Okay, so people who are up and coming. We tried to stick with our country of origin.
Yeah.
Just to keep it a little bit more focused. I'm more connected to the UK scene thriving. No offense, America, you get everything else.
But also, we're no good to try and help you.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe one day, but not right now.
Yeah, so we wanted to, once a week, or once every time we do this podcast, I keep saying week, we don't do that anymore.
That was too much work.
We want to pick a band, we're going to promote them. We haven't asked for their permission.
I did ask for their permission, but they didn't get back to me in time, so we're doing it anyway.
But we picked a band this week called Beneath the Embers, who are from...
Essex. They're
an Essex band, so insert horrible Essex jokes here if you really want to.
Accent. Yeah. That's about all I've got. Sorry.
I never really had that much of a problem with the Essex accent.
Yeah, but you're into like all the conventionally unpleasant, like Liverpool.
I do love
Manchester,
the Liverpudlian
Geordie.
accent.
You like Geordie accent? Is Geordie the weird one?
It's fine. I could go either way. Manchester, I don't think I have strong feelings about that one either. Welsh I like.
I know you like the Welsh.
Scottish.
The Scottish is a good accent.
Scottish is a good accent. Anyway, let's not talk about accents. Let's talk about Beneath the Embers, who, as you well know, with smaller bands, it's a little bit more difficult to find a history of them. Do you have any info for me?
Honestly, not really. I had a little dig through their Facebook and I found some people to contact and some cool things, but they've not been going that long. The goal is to just get bands that have got some formally released music so that we can listen to some fairly high quality recordings, not like we videoed our mates in a pub, because as much as I can see why you fill your Facebook up with those, they're not much good for us here. They're just... I think these ones caught my eye mainly because I don't really fuck with metalcore. But I'm trying. I'm making an effort. And these are metalcore...
everyone.
It
was very Welsh. It was very Welsh. It was one of the only very Welsh things you say.
Oh, God. I can't even dig myself out of that now, so I'm just going to move on.
Beneath the Embers. I like it. It's a good name.
It is a good name. It's not one of the repetitive ones
No.
I've seen. Should we just dive in? And
you know what? I could do without Beneath. Just the Embers. That would be what I'd name the band. Which maybe is a bit self-defeating. But
a little bit there. But there we
Beneath
go.
the Embers to me evokes kind of like, oh, there's something living down there. It's really warm. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get rid of the band Beneath the Embers. Oof, we're rough on segues today.
Yes, we are.
Let's play a little bit of their song Condemned.
Yeah, which came out, what? a few months ago. Not long,
Yeah,
is it?
August.
Yeah.
August it came out. And let's see if we dig them. We've already listened to the track. That was Condemned. What do you think?
I enjoyed that, to be honest. Like, it feels a little bit like in the writing career collectively, not quite 100%, but to be honest, I think it's a good track. Like,
Yeah,
I like
I do
the
too.
riffs underneath it, quite
I've
consistent,
actually
heavy.
listened to a few of their tracks.
Yeah?
Yeah, I listened to everything they've released actually.
Ooh, I listened to, I think, another one, so you're being me now.
Well, some of it's hit or miss for me, mainly because lyrically I'm a snob. But I actually think this singer is so freaking talented.
He sounds like he has a strong voice, and my very uneducated knowledge of singers.
I mean, he's going from low growls, clean highs, clean lows. He's got that metalcore scream that he's hitting, which is really, really something to behold. Like, it's something I struggle with as a singer, is switching from these different pieces and not losing momentum. You know, I'd love to get his take on how he maintains such a strong endurance throughout gigs. And I'd be happy to see these guys. I'd be happy to play with them.
Yeah, I'd definitely watch these. I mean, Essex ain't far. We might cross paths
It
here.
is far.
It's not that far.
It's really far.
I'm sorry, if you're in the UK, you're not that far to me, and you're not in Scotland. That's pretty good.
It's really far away.
I was under the impression it's not too far from Scotland. Is it
Wait,
like
Essex?
north? Is Essex really north?
Oh, mate. Essex is south.
Okay.
Essex is London.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
I'm
why
confusing it with something else.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's low.
Ah, okay, well that's not even that bad.
I know, but I'm saying it's far.
Yeah, but it's
Um,
not like
It's a couple
far,
hours
far.
away. But yeah, I like this band. I'd listen to them. I hope they get in touch and talk to us, because I'd love to pick their brains about their
Like, I've
writing
already
process.
got them all on Facebook, but you should all get them too at Beneath the Embers on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, give them a like, give them a listen, see
That's
what you
the
think.
point of this. If you liked what you just heard, go and have a look.
Yeah, if you didn't, just don't say
bother.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, just don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
just I don't know.
Listen to Korn.
And if you're also in a band that would like to be featured, get in touch.
Yeah.
Because we might, you know.
We wanna give people a promote. If you're out there,
We
you
want to
band
find out about
a
all
leg
the
up.
new bands as well.
Mhm.
So
You know, we really want with this podcast to contribute in some small way to making sure metal doesn't die a death when Slipknot dies a death.
yeah, which is looking more and more probable these days, to be honest. So please don't put us in that position. We want we want to see the next headliners
Mm-hmm.
like in 20 years. Who
Mhm.
knows?
Yeah, and you know, whatever. If you hate your own music, don't put it to be listened to on the podcast. But if you love your own music,
And
send
you
it my
should.
way. I'll listen to anything. Seriously, we'll give anything a listen.
We actually will listen to it as well. Like,
Yeah.
even if you don't get on here, we will listen to it.
I have
so.
at least 3 minutes free in my day. I will listen to your track.
Yeah.
5 minutes, you're pushing it. 7 minutes, get out of here with a
if your
7-minute
track
track.
if your track is above 7 minutes long, fuck everything I just said.
Yeah,
Like-
no, get out of here, man. Send us a 3-minute track.
Yeah.
5 minutes. I say that my band averages songs at 5 minutes 50.
Which
It's
is
too
a little
long.
bit long. Yeah.
It's too long. We're specifically writing a song at the moment to be radio friendly, which means 3 minutes 30.
Yeah,
Which
'cause
for me is
that's
the dream.
The clip, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the correct length of the song.
Exactly.
That's a separate discussion, though.
Guys, go listen to Beneath the Embers. Go listen to Korn. Keep metal going. We don't want it to die. We love it.
Keep listening to us, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got time.
Yeah.
Listen to metal first.
Yeah, we're optional extras.
Yeah.
Letting the metal scene die is not optional.
Yeah,
So,
don't let that happen.
like, this is not up for debate.
But we will see you next time we see you. We haven't got a schedule yet, so...
Who knows?
But we'll be back with another band and another UK-based band to promote. We will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.